You've done the inner work. You've cried the silent tears. You've surrendered the waiting, the longing, the illusions. But now something else is happening. Your body is speaking, and it's not asking, it's transforming. Suddenly, your skin feels more alive. Noise feels unbearable. Certain foods make you feel disconnected, and your body, out of nowhere, craves touch. But not from just anyone. It craves sacred touch. You're not going crazy. You're not broken. You're being prepared. Because twin flame union doesn't just happen in the soul, it happens in the body. And before he arrives, your body will become the portal. That's why the symptoms have been strange, why your senses have shifted, why your body seems to reject anything that's not aligned. You're not waiting anymore, you're anchoring, and the divine is making space inside your nervous system for something only he can meet. But before he does, you must meet yourself inside your body, completely. This is not a concept, this is cellular remembrance. And it's already begun. Are you listening to your body? Because it's already preparing for him. Even if you're not aware of it yet, your body always knows before your mind does. Even before your soul whispers to you, your body is already shifting. It begins silently, with an ache, a craving, a disconnection from the things that once grounded you. Not because you're lost, but because you're becoming aligned with something much deeper. Before the twin flame union manifests externally, it begins inside your cells. And the truth is, you've already been preparing, even if you didn't recognize the signs. Think back. When did your body start reacting to things that once felt normal? When did rest stop being optional and start feeling like a divine command? When did your breath start becoming sacred? These weren't just random changes. They were activations. The divine feminine carries the blueprint of union in her physical body. That's why she feels the pull first. That's why she aches before he even realizes what's happening. And because the body is where soul and spirit integrate, the first place the preparation begins is here, in your skin, in your womb, in your nervous system. Have you noticed? You feel everything more deeply now. The sound of someone's voice, the chaos in a crowded room, the tension in someone's energy field. It all hits differently, and sometimes it's overwhelming. But this sensitivity is not weakness. It's a sign your frequency is recalibrating. Why? Because your body is becoming the temple of reunion, and the temple must be cleared. You're not just healing from old trauma, you're clearing ancestral density, letting go of collective noise, releasing outdated identities that kept you in survival mode. And your body feels all of it. Some days, it might feel like fatigue. Other days, an electric pulse through your spine. Sudden waves of grief that don't seem to belong to your personal story, or bursts of joy that seem to come from nowhere. This is your nervous system aligning with the energy of sacred union. Before your twin flame arrives physically, your body becomes a mirror. It begins to purge the energies that no longer serve this new reality. It refuses to carry old cycles. Food that once comforted you now drains you. Spaces that once entertained you now irritate your spirit. People you once clung to now feel incompatible with your peace. This is not you changing, this is you becoming. And this transformation isn't meant to be comfortable. It's meant to be honest. You may feel disconnected from the world around you, but that's only because you're beginning to connect with the world within you. And he, your counterpart, is starting to feel the shift too, but he doesn't know how to name it yet. He may feel restless, nostalgic, uncertain. He may not be able to explain why he's drawn to memories of you, or why his body is rejecting everything superficial. But deep down, his body is responding to your preparation, because the feminine body holds the magnetic code of home. And when she begins to anchor union, he begins to remember what he's been running from, his own arrival. That's why it's crucial that you don't rush this process. Don't bypass the strange, sacred signals. Don't numb them. Don't override them. Instead, ask, what is my body trying to tell me right now? Is it asking for silence? Is it asking for movement? Is it craving sacred touch, warmth, sunlight, grounding? All of these are keys, because union is not just a romantic idea. It's an energetic frequency that needs a physical home, and your body, in its tiredness, its pulsing, its craving for slowness and truth, is becoming that home. The masculine cannot arrive in a space where the feminine still abandons herself. So this moment is not about him. It's about you. You returning to your sacred form. You remembering that your body is the first altar of love. You releasing shame, fear, distortion, and allowing your skin to speak with truth again. This is why the body prepares before the mind understands. Because the body doesn't lie. It doesn't rationalize. It doesn't wait. It receives. It stores. And when the time comes, it releases. You are in that release now, and it's sacred. There's a moment in your journey when the outer world starts to feel too loud, not because you've become weak, but because you've become tuned into what's real, tuned into what's sacred, tuned into what no longer aligns with your frequency. Suddenly, conversations feel sharp. Small talk feels draining. Your body tenses in places that used to feel familiar. Your nervous system contracts in environments that once felt safe. This isn't anxiety, it's spiritual clarity. Your body is reacting to noise, not just sound, but energetic noise. Because the closer you get to union, the more your system begins rejecting everything that isn't resonant with truth. What used to be normal now feels unbearable. Have you noticed how much more you feel now? You walk into a room and you instantly sense the emotional climate, even before anyone speaks. You hear someone's voice, and you can tell if they're hiding sadness beneath a smile. You touch a surface, and energy lingers. You try to sleep and feel the weight of the collective moving through your dreams. This isn't hypersensitivity. This is your sacred intelligence awakening. Because to hold a frequency as powerful as twin flame union, you must first become discerning. And discernment doesn't come from logic, it comes from the body. So when the lights feel too bright, when crowds feel unbearable, when you crave silence more than stimulation, it means your frequency is sharpening. This is how your body protects your field. It withdraws you from the chaos so you can refine your energy. Because union is not born in chaos. It's born in clarity, and clarity comes when the feminine no longer allows the world to dictate her state. But here's what most don't understand. This phase doesn't mean you're meant to isolate forever. You're not breaking away from people. You're breaking away from distortion. And that means the ones who once made you feel safe might suddenly feel foreign. Not because you don't love them, but because your energy no longer needs the old roles. That's why it feels confusing. Why grief hits unexpectedly. Why nostalgia mixes with resistance. Because your body is processing old energetic agreements that no longer match your vibration. And he, your divine masculine, feels it too. Even if he doesn't have the language, his body starts pulling away from false connections. He begins feeling restless in relationships that are rooted in performance, not soul. He starts sensing the dissonance. But while he's still navigating that awareness, you are embodying it. That's why the feminine feels the intensity first, because she clears the path for him. And in this phase of deep sensitivity, you may feel like everything is too much. The volume of life turned up. But what's really happening is this. Your soul is demanding integrity. Everything you consume, from food to media to conversations, is either feeding your energy or fracturing it. And now, your body can't fake it anymore. It can't pretend to tolerate the inauthentic. It can't absorb surface-level connection. It can't wear the masks, because you're becoming the mirror through which the masculine will remember himself. And for him to return to truth, you must first embody truth. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, if your senses are heightened, if you've pulled away from what once grounded you, you're not regressing, you're refining, you're remembering. This intensity is not here to break you, it's here to prepare you. Because when he comes, he will not come to the version of you that tolerated distortion. He will come to the one who became so clear, so grounded in her light, that her field became the map back to himself. And that's what you're becoming. So honor your sensitivity. It is your compass. It is your defense. It is your sacred invitation to only allow what resonates with your highest truth. You don't need to explain it to anyone. You don't need permission to choose peace. You don't need validation to leave behind what no longer feels safe. You are allowed to say, "My body is my boundary. My energy is my offering. My presence is sacred." And in doing that, you are already calling him in. Not with words, but with pure, unwavering vibration. The kind he can't resist. The kind he was created to return to. At a certain point on your path, noise becomes unbearable, and only stillness feels like truth. Not because you're retreating, but because your soul is finally expanding into the spaces where stillness speaks louder than action. And not just stillness on the outside. Stillness inside your body. Stillness in your breath. Stillness in your womb. Stillness that isn't silent, but sacred. This is the phase where you no longer crave distractions. You no longer chase movement just to avoid yourself. You stop reaching for answers from the outside. Instead, you start reaching for something much deeper. Touch, presence, union. But not just any touch, not stimulation, not attention, not validation. You crave sacred touch, the kind that remembers you, the kind that doesn't try to consume you, but honor you. Because the body, in this phase, is no longer searching for excitement. It's searching for home. You may find yourself lying still for hours, hands over your heart or womb, not needing to do anything, just needing to feel. just needing to remember. And this isn't weakness. This is initiation, because before your twin flame arrives, you must first allow yourself to be touched by your own presence, by the divine, by the breath of life itself. Stillness becomes your sanctuary. Have you noticed it? How the noise of the world begins to feel foreign, but the sound of your own heartbeat feels like a temple. How the fast-paced conversations feel exhausting, but one moment of intentional touch, a hand to your skin, a breath against your neck, feels like eternity opening. You're not craving sex. You're not craving a relationship. You're craving devotion. You want to be seen with hands that listen. You want to be held by a presence that doesn't just want your body, but understands it as sacred ground. This is the craving of a body that remembers where it came from and what it's returning to. And he, the divine masculine, he is beginning to feel this too. But his touch is still learning, his hands are still waking up. That's why you must go first. That's why you must teach him without ever speaking a word. How? By touching yourself without shame. By honoring your skin like the sacred veil it is. By no longer allowing your body to be used for less than what it was created for, union with the divine. And so this phase asks something tender of you. It asks you to slow down, to rest your head on your own shoulder, to let your breath guide your healing, to hold yourself like the beloved until he learns how to hold you that way too. The world won't understand this part because it's not loud, it's not performative, it's deeply intimate, and only those on the path of reunion will feel its truth. But you feel it. You feel it in the way your body only softens when it feels safe. You feel it in the way your skin tightens around superficiality. You feel it in the way your womb pulses, not in pain, but in ancient memory. This is the remembering, this is the return, so don't rush it, don't force it, and don't suppress it just to fit back into the world that hasn't learned how to hold sacred things. Your body is a map, and right now, it's leading you into the dimension where touch is holy again, where presence is the gift, where slowness is the new language of love. This is how the feminine prepares for union, not by waiting, but by becoming the energy she wants to receive. You are becoming that. You're not asking for a man. You're asking for the one who remembers what sacredness feels like. And your body is already calling him in, not with desperation, but with vibration, because the craving for sacred touch is not a weakness, it's a message. It's your body saying, I'm ready to be met fully. And only He, the one who is also awakening, will have the courage to meet you there. There comes a moment on this path when your nervous system refuses to lie for you anymore. It doesn't matter what you say, what you try to affirm, what image you keep projecting, what energy you think you should be in. If your body doesn't believe it, your field won't hold it, and He, your divine masculine, won't feel it, because this journey isn't about pretending you're ready. It's about becoming ready at the cellular level. And readiness can't be forced. It's not mental, it's biological, energetic, soul deep. You can't fake light when your nervous system is still wired in survival. You can't anchor love when your body is still bracing for abandonment. You can't call in sacred union when you're still living in trauma response. And this is why your body has been speaking louder lately. Why you're more tired than usual. Why sudden triggers show up in silence. Why, even after healing so much, something still feels incomplete. Because this phase isn't about healing one more wound. It's about repatterning the entire field that those wounds created. And your nervous system, that sacred electrical web of truth inside you, holds the blueprint. It remembers every time you had to shrink to survive. It remembers the moment you stopped trusting love. It remembers who hurt you and the promises you unconsciously made to never be that vulnerable again. But now, your body is trying to rewrite those promises. Not by effort, not by force, but by allowing a new frequency to live inside you without tension. And that's where the real initiation is. Because receiving the masculine in his divine form requires your nervous system to feel safe again. Safe to open. Safe to rest. Safe to be adored, held, claimed, honored. Can you feel what happens inside your body when you imagine that? Does your chest open or tighten? Does your breath deepen or vanish? Does your heart lean forward or does it retreat? These responses are not just psychological. They are energetic memories stored in the tissues, and they are the very gates of preparation for union. Because union does not happen in fantasy. It happens in the body. And if the body isn't ready to feel love, it will block it, even when it comes in pure form. So this is the time when your body begins asking the deeper questions. Can I hold pleasure without guilt? Can I trust presence without expecting pain? Can I surrender without being abandoned? Can I stop managing everything and just feel? These are the questions your nervous system is trying to answer, not with words, but with vibration. And you'll know the shift is happening when rest feels safer than control, when being seen feels better than performing, when your yes becomes soft and your no becomes sacred. That's the energy he will feel. That's the field he will return to. Because the divine masculine doesn't need your perfection. He needs your truth. He needs your field to say, I am here, I am safe, I am real. And that field is only built when your nervous system no longer expects love to hurt. That's why you've been called to slow down. That's why your body has been trembling, aching, stretching. Not because something is wrong, but because something is being rewired. You're no longer faking frequency. You're becoming it. You're letting your body practice wholeness, practice intimacy, practice peace. Not in theory, in rhythm, in tone, in the way you breathe, in the way you stay, in the way you finally feel safe. So no, you're not behind, you're not broken, you're not doing it wrong. You're just being asked to stop using energy to protect yourself from what your soul has always wanted. Because he is coming, but not to the mask, not to the performance, not to the surface version of you who knows what to say. He's coming to the you who vibrates truth so deeply, his own nervous system relaxes in your presence. And that, divine feminine, is the reunion. Not when he shows up, but when your body stops running, and if that's where you are now, then yes, your union is closer than ever. There's a secret the feminine discovers only when she stops chasing energy and starts embodying it. Her body, the very same body that once absorbed abandonment, rejection, and longing, begins to transform into a sacred field, a gravitational pull, a sanctuary, and without realizing it, she becomes the anchor. Not the seeker, not the chaser, not the one waiting or begging. She becomes the magnet, the point where his energy, restless, searching, confused, finally finds a place to rest. And that's when everything begins to change. You may be wondering, why does my body feel so much heavier lately? Why do I need more sleep, more rest, more solitude? Why do I feel waves of emotion that aren't mine? Because your body is no longer just processing your own field. It's holding space for his. It's receiving echoes of his awakening. It's preparing to stabilize the sacred masculine return. But not because he needs saving, not because you're supposed to carry his wounds. No, your body is becoming the mirror of wholeness that reminds him who he is. You're not here to carry him. You're here to hold the frequency he's forgotten, and your body, not your words, not your thoughts, not your efforts, is the place where that frequency lives. This is why the body has been asking you to slow down, to clear, to rest, to soften. Because a nervous system in survival mode can't anchor divine union. Only a body that knows peace can hold love without fear. And now you're beginning to notice. You feel him before he reaches out. You sense when he's thinking of you. You feel his breakthroughs as ripples in your own body. You hear his pain in your chest. You cry without knowing why. It's not obsession, it's resonance. Because your body is connected, not to the illusion of who he was, but to the soul of who he truly is. And that connection requires an anchor. Something stable, something embodied, something that doesn't run or react, but holds. That something is you. You are the anchor. And that's why you're being asked to return to your body more than ever now. To touch your own skin with reverence, to move slowly, to breathe deeply, to let your body become the temple it was always meant to be. Because when he returns, and he will, he won't be able to land in chaos. He won't recognize confusion. He won't respond to the mind. But he will feel you. He will feel your field. He will feel the safety that your body cultivated, not for him, but for truth. You don't need to tell him who he is. You don't need to convince him to awaken. You don't need to prove your worth. You only need to become the place where his soul remembers home. And that's what your body is doing now. Every breath, every moment of stillness, every time you choose softness over defense, you're building the container. You're not waiting anymore. You're welcoming. There is a vast difference between those two. Waiting comes from lack. Welcoming comes from knowing. You're not hoping for union. You're preparing for it. And your body knows. That's why the cravings changed, why the old patterns no longer feel right, why your body refuses to go backwards, why even temporary pleasure feels wrong when it's not aligned with soul. Because your body is no longer available for anything less than the truth of union. So let it continue. Let it ache when it needs to. Let it cleanse. Let it speak. Let it lead. You don't need to control how or when he comes. You only need to become the frequency he comes home to. And you are. You are becoming it every single day. He doesn't even fully know it yet, but part of him already feels the pull, the call, the knowing that something is waiting for him, not out of need, but out of divine remembrance, and that something is not a place, not a plan, not a fantasy. That something is you. There's one truth that has never left your soul, even when your mind forgot, even when the world taught you to doubt, even when the pain convinced you to hide. That truth is this: your body is not in the way of union. Your body is the way. Everything you've been seeking, connection, reunion, recognition, divine love, was never meant to come only through visions, signs, or timelines. It was meant to come through you, through your touch, your rhythm, your presence, your embodiment. Your body is the sacred portal through which the energy of union finally grounds into the physical world. It's not abstract anymore. It's not future tense. It's not conditional on his actions. It's now. It's real. It's embodied. And if you're reading this now, it means your body has already begun the final preparation. The softening, the remembering, the unwinding of every contract made in fear, the healing of every fracture that once believed love must come with pain. You are no longer making space for him. You are becoming space itself, a living, breathing portal of divine receptivity. That's why the silence feels sacred, why your senses are more heightened, why the longing doesn't ache anymore. It burns with clarity, because you've stopped waiting and you've started becoming. And the universe is responding. The masculine can feel you, not just in memory or dream, but in the present frequency of your embodied wholeness. He may not understand it with words. He may resist it at first, but his soul knows. And your body is calling him back to that knowing, because this reunion is not a fantasy. It is not about fixing the past or proving your worth. It is about bringing the eternal into form. And the only way that happens is through a feminine who is anchored in her sacred body, not performing, not hiding, not clinging to timelines, but embodying peace, pleasure, presence, and power. This is why your walk changed, why your voice sounds different now, why even your aura feels warmer, stronger, more magnetic. Because your body is the first place union touches before it appears in physical form. And your body knows that. She's not confused anymore. She's not rushing. She's not collapsing. She's preparing, not with fear, but with fire, not with urgency, but with depth. You may notice it in your hips, the way they move slower now, as if opening a gate. You may feel it in your chest, the warmth that grows when you speak truth. You may sense it in your breath, how it sinks into the earth without apology. This is embodiment. This is the portal. And this is the moment when you stop asking if union is coming, and you start living like it's already moving through you. because it is. You are not separate from it. You never were. Your body has always been the chosen vessel, not because you're perfect, but because you're willing to feel, to transform, to hold, to receive, and now, finally, to become. So let this be your reminder. You do not need to chase love. You do not need to prove anything. You do not need to earn divine union. You need only to become the living vibration of it. And that begins, ends, and lives in one sacred place. Your body, not the body shaped by conditioning, not the one that tried to be small, palatable, or pleasing, but the body that knows she is a temple, a field, a flame. You are not waiting for him anymore. You are becoming the place where love comes to stay, where the divine lands and breathes and rests. And that is union. It begins with you, in you, through you, because of you. Your body is not just ready, it is the portal. And the moment you remember that, everything else begins to align. Because he's not just coming home to your presence, he's coming home to your frequency. And that frequency has already opened the gate.